I think there's some interesting takeaways that we need to have and conversations we need to have about this game. Vikings end up winning by 1 point, 23-22 in the end. It was one that really came down to the wire. Minnesota's top 5 graded players. Shaq Griffin's at the very top of the list with an 84.7. Linebacker Blake Cashman an 80.9. Cornerback Stephon Gilmore a 79.9. Wide receiver Justin Jefferson a 78.3. And then edge rusher Andrew Van Ginkel a 76.5. Sam Darnold in this one earned a 77.6 overall grade. On Arizona's side of things, cornerback Sean Murphy-Bunting, very good game for him with a 90.8 overall grade. Tight end Trey McBride continues to have a phenomenal season. 80.7 grade. Running back James Conner, 77.9. Defensive tackle Roy Lopez, 77.1. And then cornerback Garrett Williams with a 72.6. Kyler Murray in this one, a 67.0. And Dalton, I thought that he really struggled. That's where I want to start things with the stat that told the story. When I was previewing this game, and I think I talked about this last week on this show as well, when things are going well for the Cardinals, we all go, there it is, baby. Here they are. The Cardinals are here. The offense is back. Kyler's back. He's playing at MVP level. He's got Marvin Harrison Jr. now. The run game with James Conner. We got Michael Wilson. We got Trey McBride. We're good to go, baby. Drew Petzing's in his bag. And I think that we all get very caught up in the good games of the Cardinals. But 13 weeks in now, it's very clear this is still the Arizona Cardinals. They are very up and down, especially as an offense. Now, defense, obviously, it was going to take a little bit of time. They need to get better up on the defensive front. We can talk about that when we get into NFL draft talk. But even on the offensive side of things, Kyler Murray in this game, 4 turnover-worthy plays and only 1 big-time throw. Now, it's the Vikings. I'm going to get to the Vikings in a second, talk about that contextually to make sure I give them their flowers. But we now have more games where Kyler has thrown multiple turnover-worthy plays in a single contest, as we do multiple big-time throws in a single contest. So we have 5 games where he's had more than 1 turnover-worthy play in a single game, and we only have 4 games where he's had more than 1 big-time throw. So it's just way too volatile for me to really believe in the Arizona Cardinals. I think that they are right on track with them getting better. I have really enjoyed the last couple of drafts that Monty Ossenfort has had. I think that the Cardinals are going in the right direction. But I don't think this is their division to lose. And I wouldn't even tell you that I think the Cardinals are the favorites to still win this division. I don't have a lot of faith for them to go on the run that they need to in order to win this division. Maybe it happens. Obviously, we'll revisit it if it does. But at this point, 13 weeks into the season, to me, it's too up and down. Kyler has been way too volatile for this offense to... I mean, they're close. I mean, I guess, I want to make sure that I say, they're close in the standings for the number 1 spot in their division. Seattle's only 1 game ahead of them. Los Angeles is right there, though. I have more faith in those teams getting the division title than I do the Arizona Cardinals at this point. I think they're a year away from me really, really believing in them and their consistency and what they could be.
I think they're all flawed teams, and I think these 2 losses that the Cardinals have just suffered really hurt them, right? The game in Seattle last week in the rain when Kyler had the big pick 6, and then this game, I think we have to remember, they were up 19-6 late in this game. They had it. They had the 2-score lead, and you're going to go into the situational at the end, but no, you're right. I still think they're capable of winning the division, but you mentioned it. You can't week in and week out and even quarter to quarter be as streaky as they are, because we've seen other games this year against the 49ers, against the Dolphins, where they were terrible for 3 quarters, and then they were great for the 4th quarter. So they are the roller coaster right now. It's a Kyler Murray roller coaster. At heart, they want to run the ball, and they want to prevent explosive plays on defense, because their defense is still a work in progress. We know this, and it's getting better, just like you mentioned. The name of the game for this team is progress. It's just that the level of progress now has got them in a playoff race. I do think it's possible, but you can't have what we've seen from the last really 6 quarters from Kyler Murray. It's just not good enough, especially when you're playing teams also in that race like Seattle and Minnesota. So I think that's the thing we look at and we go, okay, the Cardinals, you're right. It is that thing. It's like, oh, we want to believe, but we just kind of can't yet. It feels like next year, but it's also right in front of them. And I get it. Look, my stat that tells the story, I have to give Sam Darnold his credit on the other side. Cardinals were up 19-6 in this game. Mm-hmm. With a quarter to go in this game, we were sitting here like, oh, okay, maybe the Cardinals can still win the division. If they beat the 9-2 Vikings, they'll be tied with Seattle. And even though they lost last week, there's a long way to go. Sam Darnold on his last 3 drives of this game, 94.1 overall grade. Took the game over. It was quiet. They had 6 points. They were dead in the water. Sam Darnold brought them back. 12 of 17, 156 passing yards on these 3 drives, 3 big-time throws. There was a big scramble on the last drive that he got a first down on. I mean, it's just over and over and over. It feels like we keep waiting for Sam Darnold to turn back into Sam Darnold. And what he's actually doing is he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year this year.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen, is moments like this. And times, and look, we've talked about some red zone struggles, and he's gotten through adversity. It hasn't all been pretty through 12 games. And he's had bumps in the road, and he's had red zone picks, and he's had this and that, but he just refuses to blink. And his all-pro left tackle is out for the season, and Aaron Jones is fumbling, and he just keeps making plays, especially under pressure in this game. To show up like that with your team down 2 touchdowns and then needing a touchdown to win the game on the last drive. I mean, this is Sam Darnold. You have to believe with moments like this that he can win playoff games with this team, not just all these regular season games, because they're on track to win, 12, 13 regular season games at least. They're still in this. For as much as we're talking about the Lions, they're 1 game behind the Lions, and they lost to them at the gun the last time they played. The Vikings could still win this division. Any sort of slip, or even you beat the Lions head-to-head, you make up that 1 game. And Sam Darnold, I didn't think I'd say this, but you have to sit here and say, I know their defense has been great, but he's been the biggest reason why. Because they are getting play out of their quarterback that I don't think we thought was possible this season.
My most impressive in this game, I'll flip to the other side of things for the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings defense. Flores, man. 28 turnover-worthy plays forced so far this year, 13 weeks in. Number 1 in the NFL. The only other team close, basically, is the Detroit Lions. I think they have 25. Everybody else is in low 20s or even like in the teens, right around 15. And it's just Flores' defense has quarterbacks in hell. And there were a couple of Kyler Murray turnover-worthy plays last week or yesterday, where it was just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what are you looking at? What was it, the Byron Murphy interception?
Yeah.
Where it's like he's tiptoeing on the sideline to come up with the interception, but like, what's Kyler throwing at? How are you doing? That, to me, that throw was just I'm sick of this. Like, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with playing this defense. I'm fed up with expecting to see something and seeing it a different way. And Flores had Kyler Murray in hell, like he has had so many quarterbacks in hell so far this season. So to me, the most impressive is the Vikings defense. Before we do most impressive and most disappointing for you, my most disappointing was Jonathan Gannon not going for that touchdown when they had the opportunity to at the end of the game.
We were sitting here arguing about this when we were watching it. We were like, maybe they should kill it while they have a chance.
And that was the thing, is like the second it happened, I looked at it, I was like, what is kicking a field goal do for you?
6 doesn't do. If it was 7, that'd be different. Six doesn't do you any
different.
good.
But Greg Olsen talked about this on the broadcast. It's not that it's not that necessarily kicking a field goal to go up 6 like guarantees anything one way or the other. But you're actually making decisions for the other team easier. And you're actually making them more aggressive, which normally when that's the case, that's not a good thing for you, especially when you have all the time in the world, right? If it was a situation where like, okay, there were 40 seconds left, maybe, but even then it's a little different to me. So the situation was 4th quarter. There's 3 minutes and 23 seconds left in the game. Cardinals are up 19-16, and they kick a field goal. 4th and goal. You got 4th and goal. So he kicks the field goal. They go up 6. And Jonathan Gannon after the game says, well, we wanted to put them in a situation where they had to go for a touchdown. I don't think you want that. Because if you are the other team, if you were to go for that and they don't get it, and they're just up 19-16, yes, of course, like a field goal would tie the game and go to overtime, but you kicking a field goal doesn't guarantee anything for you, right?
And I think the first part of that decision tree there is the fact that it was 4th and goal from the 5. It's not like if it was 4th and goal from the 15 and something went wrong.
Different story.
It was
very much something.
It's a thing of I trust my defense more to not give up a touchdown against Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and all these weapons versus if we get 5 yards, we win the ball. It's really no different than we have all the time to talk about the 2-point talk, and we're going to get to that in a game later where it's like, maybe just trust your offense to get 2 yards. And I know in this case 5 yards is a little different, but look, we know you're throwing. That's not a mystery. I mean,
right.
It's do I think Gannon doesn't trust his offense? No, I don't think that. But I think in a spot like that, that's part of the decision that goes into it is, can we get 5 yards? And he basically, by kicking the field goal, said, no, I don't think so.
To me, you would almost rather them not have that thought in their head of like, oh, we've got to go for it. You would rather have it in their head of like, okay, well, we have a crutch. We can at least kick a field goal and go to overtime.
And if you don't get it, then the Vikings get the ball at the 5-yard line.
Right, exactly.
Right,
exactly.
as opposed to the 30 or the 6-point.
Yes.
So when you really think about it, they would have to go 70 yards in the scenario that they did, or they're going to have to go pretty close to 70 yards anyway because they're coming from the 5-yard line just to get the field goal.
Again, if they were going up 7, this is a different story.
Whole different thing.
Because if you're saying, okay, well, now they have to score a touchdown and they have to get a 2-point conversion, to me that's different. Even with the extra point being moved back and it's not as much of a guarantee as it used to be, totally understand that. But I did not like the logic at all whatsoever. It does not check out to me. Him saying, well, we wanted to be up 6, again, that doesn't do anything for me. I would much rather the offense even think to themselves, okay, well, maybe we should just play for the field goal here, and then you go to overtime, and then sort of all bets are off at that point.
And also
6 points just does not do anything for you in that situation.
Darnold had just driven them down for 10 points the previous 2 drives. You could see he was heating up. So it's not a situation where you go, okay, look, we've had this quarterback's number all day. All of a sudden you don't. He's heating up now, and you just gave him even more life. You left him a pulse, and then he got blazing hot the last drive, and he beat you. So,
and again, I would rather them start the drive at the 5 than start the drive at the 30.
And you're right, the goals do change there. The touchdown is almost seen as a bonus. You see a lot of coaches, it's like, okay, let's get the tie and go to overtime.
Right.
Here, unless they really get a prime opportunity.
Correct.
But no, I think you're right. It is an interesting decision, and in the end, it did cost him.
Most impressive and disappointing before we move on.
I'm still staying on the Cardinals side. I know I do this a lot, but Trey McBride's so good. 12 catches, 96 yards, 7 first downs, 80 receiving grade. You mentioned the inconsistency of the Cardinals offense. He's the one guy who isn't. He shows up every single week. He's one of the 5 best tight ends in football, without question. Most disappointing, Aaron Jones has had a really tough go of it lately. 8 touches in this game for 28 yards, 2 fumbles, lost one of them. Since week 9, which is interestingly the 5 full games now they've played without Christian Darrisaw, Aaron Jones is the 2nd lowest graded running back in the league.
Wow. Wouldn't have thought that.
Fumbles, and just the run game has really suffered more so from not having Christian Darrisaw there. He's such a dominant player on both sides, right, run and pass. And Aaron Jones is really, it's been a struggle. Lately it was a struggle in this game. 2 fumbles, like I said, one of them early in this game that he lost that I think the Cardinals ended up missing the field goal on, so it didn't cost them points. But it's been hard times for the Vikings run game and Aaron Jones especially lately.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.